For me, I often say that farming is the great equalizer. I mean, you can have as much money, but when you get out in the field and you're all by yourself and you're working in the blazing sun, it certainly will test everything you have to make it work. It's not an easy industry to be in, that's for sure.
Every farmer acknowledged that the value of FarmNet in the services we provide was they knew they were talking to people that had stood in their shoes.
It'll be hard for someone to look at poor John Halsey and say, how can you have an emotional problem with everything you got going for you? I don't have an answer, but I do realize that I was very good at farming. And so when I lost some of that control of how things should be done, I didn't handle it as well as I handled the nuts and bolts of the transition. We talked to our doctors, and then they suggested talking with someone, a professional, and that's when Becky came in the picture, and that's when FarmNet became the facility that gave me the opportunity to work medication with a counselor, and I'm very thankful for FarmNet.
So yes, I work for the Baconic Land Trust. So my day starts here on my own farm from 5 in the morning until 5 minutes to 9, and then I disappear from here and leave the reins to my wife, and I go off to the land trust where I teach new people how to get started farming. I first came across FarmNet, I guess Becky contacted us and was asking a little bit about our program, and she was explaining some of the services that maybe could help our incubator people. Anybody that knows farmers knows they're a pretty independent group of people, and it can be tough sometimes. And my job as a mentor kind of puts me right in the way of that sometimes. And it's not always easy to know you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. I actually ended up reaching out to FarmNet to help me with just to go over some of the leases, some of the problems we were having with business plans and with personalities and things like that. And one of the things that was the biggest help is the FarmNet staff. Becky, of course, has worked with Long Island farmers for pretty much her whole career, which was really very helpful. And of course, Greg is a farmer himself. Between the two of them, it was the greatest resource to talk to somebody that already knew about it. So for me, with FarmNet, it was very nice to just have somebody to talk to a little bit about it, and to make sure that I was doing the right thing and everything I could do to help them, because that's my job, is to ultimately help them, and I want them to succeed.
I grew up here on the farm as a kid, running around in the fields. And as soon as it was appropriate for someone of my age to work, I can help contribute. So I had fond memories of that. It became a conversation of we could pour ourselves in to the farm, but it would require changes on a fundamental scale, I think, to be what we'd want it to be. I think if we did that, it would be at the cost of the family.
We left the business for a reason, so in order to maintain the family side of things, we have to not bring up the business side.
If Becky and FarmNet weren't there, I think I said in a meeting that we had, Becky, that I don't know how many times I could pull back Katie from wanting to leave, but I don't think if you were here, the only way I could see myself breaking free is if Katie did leave me, that I'd have something to point to for my family to say, this is what me working on the farm has caused. I need to leave. But we got there, and before that happened, and because that would have been a break that would never have been recovered. So we were able to get there without having to have that fracture happen with my other family, and still, before Katie left me, come to that realization, to come to that epiphany, if you will.
I moved the farm here in 1987. The reason why we moved here was because the home farm land was sold. For many decades, we were growing strictly Chinese cabbage and Asian vegetables. So we had some melons, squashes. So I guess I called FarmNet again in the fall of 2019. I don't know how the idea popped into my mind. I know they had helped me before with the business financial struggles. I was served papers, divorce papers. I think I called and I just started crying on the phone. But from that, there were follow-up calls. You followed up with a visit for several days. There were wellness checks. I'm grateful for that help. Didn't matter what was happening on the farm or the business. My personal life was in the toilet. It's sort of like a pitch for other farmers that are in tough spots. And it might seem a little corny, but I didn't know where to turn. And I thought, so many times I thought this was it. I can't go anymore. But the little help that I received along the way was very instrumental, and certainly FarmNet provided that helping hand just to guide me to the next step. So I'm very grateful for that.